podcast you cheer for. Sneakers, business, talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.
And welcome back. It's the podcast you cheer for, the Soul Material Podcast. I'm the OGEO.
All right, it's T-Bar the Street Shark.
And we are here to talk about the Adidas basketball line, just with them doing the Remember the Why during the All-Star break in that campaign right before the new year. Unlike other brands we discussed in a previous episode, they did a great job of showing their history, where they've been and where they're going, and with the athletes they have lined up right now and endorsing them and some of the sleek designs and releases that are coming out. They're showing improvement right now. And the Shark and I just wanted to talk about Adidas in general, their basketball line, and our predictions as far as how they're going to do and how the NBA and how they have been doing on the court and so forth. So Shark, you can take it over. There's many layers to this, but I wanted to ask you why you think that the timing of what they did during the All-Star break with the Remember the Why and showing their history and their line, why you think that was prevalent to them to do at this time?
I think that Adidas had to do that at this time because they have to create a new arc to their story. And that means that they have to educate consumers, the younger sneakerhead consumer, and everyone else a part of this culture. You kind of haven't been around to see Adidas on top, so you have to be reminded. So that's where they're at right now because they don't have the staple guy other than James Harden. That's James Harden and Damian Lillard. And Damian Lillard is kind of fizzled in his popularity because of the market that he's in, and then he's got some recent injuries in the last a couple seasons, and then their team just hasn't been as good as they used to be. We talked about Donovan Mitchell as well. It's good that he left Utah and went to Cleveland, but you're still not in a big enough market, for both of them to score so many points, 60, 70 points in a game, and then they just run a $60, $70 promo on your shoes. Did that really move the needle on anything? It was nice to do, but the how much they're liquidating right now, the Derrick Rose shoes, they're still pumping those out there, and retroing them, but I don't even see a lot of athletes wearing them. A lot of, Adidas has the Resto Mod series, so, they're coming back with just like the Flowtro with the Curry brand, and then these Retro Plus models with Nike and Jordan brand, where they just kind of old model, new cushioning system upgrade. So that's what they call it over at Adidas, is the Resto Mod. So a lot of the athletes are wearing the Resto Mod of some T-Max, especially like T-Max 3 is pretty popular. And also the Gilbert Arenas. So the Adidas, the Gills, those are out there. Like those are a couple of shoes that I've purchased recently just because they've been marked down and double discounted. I didn't pay more than $40, $45 for either one of those shoes. But there's tons of colorways out there, and they're more wearable. So
And the elephant in the room, Shark. You haven't mentioned them yet. I know you're saving the best for last.
yes, well, that would be the Black Mamba and Kobe
Rest in
Bryant
peace.
and some of the Kobe shoes that they're bringing back with the crazy ones, and they're just pumping out colorways there as well. And I'm just here for all the feet you can wear, because I love feet you can wear. I loved it back in the day, and Top 10 2000s. They're back in the original colorway as well. A couple other newer colorways of that model. I remember someone like, in that first retro era of the Top 10 2000, like Iman Shumpert sticks out to mind because he had a a PE colorway and a couple other promos that dropped behind that particular shoe. And he was one of the few that actually wore them on the court. And then you have the top 10 2010, like one of the first Kobe shoes that he wore as a rookie. Like that's gonna drop.
Did he wear those in the famous slam pitch with all the draft picks? Did he have those on? I believe he did.
He wore them in his media day because the Kobe in the cast on his rookie photo shoots when he had a broken wrist or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wearing a cast. He's probably rocking those 2010s. Yeah. In that first in those raw, gritty advertisement magazine ads. Him and Antoine Walker, aka employee number 8. Like that was all the real deal. Was the Antoine Walker line because they both wore that top 10. I think Antoine Walker might have been the first one in the ad before Kobe. Kobe was the media day photo shoot, but for that shoe, I think Antoine Walker was the first one in the print ad, and then they went with Kobe because they put Kobe behind top 10 2000 a little bit more in his first ad, but it was still the beginning of feet you can wear, and then young Mamba, went and kept his shooting shirt on, but went and won the dunk contest as well. So just having those staple moments always solidify, what you were wearing during that defining moment. So yes, just full circle on the question that you asked, I think that's why we got here is that Adidas had to remind everyone. They don't know about anything is possible. They don't know about the era. They don't know that Kevin Garnett had shoes. They don't know that Tim Duncan had shoes, and they had T-Mac and Gill and like Chauncey Billups, like that roster right there. That's the underground era of Adidas.
Wow.
That nobody, like those undergrounds.
Mm-hmm.
They're on sale at Foot Locker now, and that was a Grail shoe. I don't know how that was a Grail shoe. That Gilbert Arenas Underground collaboration, like all the other shoes that had got an Underground collab too, but it was the Gilbert Arenas one that became a Grail shoe, and it's just funny. It's like there are plenty of shoes that once were grails that nobody cares about right now in their retro model, and like the first retro model, like those like the LeBron Palmers, like that was grail status. And then the first retro that we get that colorway of the exact shoe, nobody cares.
Crickets.
That thing is under $100 on sale right now. Wow, it's just what a time. I think that, and again, that's why we have to just acknowledge that was our time. We like what we like, but the younger consumers, they like what they like for different reasons. So I don't know about Adidas, the re-education, like it's good to let everybody know, but question mark, will it work?
That is so true because
these retros aren't for the kids; they're for us.
There you go. So. There you go. My daughter's not asking for any shell toes anytime soon. You know what I mean? It's what it is. But I was going to ask Shark as far as you mentioned the athletes that they have on their line right now, as far as Dame, as far as James Harden. You mentioned Trae Young, and I was wondering if there's someone that's bubbling that Adidas should get their hands on early, because it seems like there's a very high draft pick like a Zion. It looks like Adidas is just losing out on folks to other brands. So even with Boston now getting drafted by Indiana from the WNBA, I'm thinking of a person that can get a stronghold on a market that has enough not only popularity and sincerity, but genuine just game and with community and all the way around, that can get the brand and their designs bubbling. And I can't think of anyone right now on either side, men or women, on the basketball side, outside of them possibly signing Boston.
They're going to have a trend. So like James Harden, I'm actually not mad at his new signature shoe. It's actually better than the last 2 or 3 in my opinion. But his off the court personality don't sell the shoes. And they don't sell them
Sound like John Wall.
to outside of. Now it's worse. It's a lot worse.
You be worse than John Wall? Sorry to say that, but
John Wall wasn't the MVP. John Wall ain't go to the playoffs every year in his career. You know what I mean? So for someone to be the scoring champ and all the other stuff, then how in the world
are you not marketable?
Are you not marketable? That's something else going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you've achieved too much in your on-court playing career for it to not happen the other way around. So something else. So Adidas used to do more of you got to see some of his personal. Don't get me wrong. I think we saw most of James Harden personality in the Chris Paul era when he was in the State Farm commercials, and then like Adidas was doing a little more viral natured stuff. But other than that, they weren't. You didn't get to show, those Adidas Foot Locker ads or whatever commercials. I don't think that he got to show off, and they're not putting him in a position. So it's a combination. I'm not putting it all on James. I'm saying it's a combination of a lot of things, and then some of it's on you with the way you do your social media and everything like that, so that it can tell that omni story that's all the way through, and no matter what platform you're on. So I say all that because you're gonna have to have not only a good player, you're gonna have to have a phenom that also transcends, the personality, and then Adidas, because they don't have the recipe to cook it all up, into one place, and you're losing. It's like one of those. If they're recruiting and like in college, you got to change the game with the NIL, like the way the NIL deals have changed the game. Like the coaches, you got to recruit the kids differently now. So that's what's going on now. You got to recruit everybody differently to acquire the new customers because, you've lost value. That's what you have to realize. You lost value. Okay. I don't care if we're talking about basketball. The Yeezy deals has affected everything across the board. You know why? Because half these athletes were on Adidas to get easy access to Yeezys. So that's what like when you're off the court, what are you wearing? You was wearing Yeezys. You wasn't wearing the basketball shoes off the court because they don't have them. Those models that
are fashionable enough.
That are fashionable for you to do that. So you had to go with Yeezy, right? Or
Boost.
Yeah, but Boost, where's Boost at right now?
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So no Yeezy wave, but like think about where the arc of Adidas is with the rest of their celebrity collaborations. You know what I mean? They've already announced that they're phasing out and not extending any contracts with for Ivy Park with the Beyonce collections, and then all these other collaborations. Like with Pharrell, they're getting fewer. If anyone's noticing, you know what I mean? The Pharrell and the Human Race, like you're getting like one or two models. You're not getting multiple models every season, and you're not getting full apparel collections anymore. Like seasonal apparel collections. Now you're just getting the tonal collections that just says, here's the next blue, and then there's this sweatshirts, t-shirts, shorts, sweatpants. You know what I'm saying? Wash and repeat. It looked like some of the New Balance generic gear is just is what Adidas is. So I say all that because, and then they go so far with the high end, the Gucci collaborations and everything like that. Well, you lost some common value in that. Like nobody, I'm sorry, but we're not checking for the Balenciaga shell toe. Not doing it. You know what I'm saying? We barely want the Gucci Gazelles for $1,200 or whatever it is. So they're reaching so far. I like some of the collaboration or they just lost steam. They had the collaboration. They do the McDonald's All American stuff, right? And we touched on a little bit on how the NIL deals messed that up because the kids ain't wearing the shoes in the McDonald's game, even though you sponsored it. So if they have an NIL deal, Bronny James and Wagner and a couple other kids, they're wearing Nikes. They're wearing swooshes.
And Shark, it's funny you say that because I forgot with those times, you were literally forced to wear the shoe that was sponsored by the
Hmm.
event, no matter what was going on behind the scenes. So you're absolutely right. I forgot it. No matter what you liked, if Adidas sponsored that event, you got your free pair of
If
shoes,
it
and that's
was,
what you
yeah,
wore.
it didn't matter. Like when Kobe was in the McDonald's All American game, they were wearing
Hmm.
champion sneakers, and the jerseys were made by Champion too. Like that's just what it was. And the McDonald's All Americans gone through iterations because they had they were wearing stack houses or something at one point in time, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
Hmm.
Let alone Reeboks, Iverson, LeBron was wearing Iversons. Questions in his McDonald's All American game. So like it's just so many different instances. But when it comes to Adidas, they've also lost some battleground at the high school level. When it comes to um,
Just the
the
grassroots level in particular.
with the AAU programs and stuff like that,
There you
because
go.
they used to have I think the Nike Peach Jam and the EYBL, how they have evolved, and that's evolved to add more teams this year, if I'm not mistaken. But you had Adidas Nations. Like my former high school coach is like heads Adidas Nations,
Hmm.
Joe Wooten. You know what I'm saying? So, but they've lost some steam in all the kids that would gather, because they're extending their AAU runs, and they're also these teams into the Peach Jam circuit. It looked like the big time, or the TBT the tournament, because you have all these auxiliary tournaments that feed into the big one
Hmm. Hmm.
now. So and I think with specialized training and all this other stuff, these kids, they're playing year round basketball. They're just doing it differently than they used to. And I think that Adidas, and before you know it, you better watch out. Because you got like Steph Curry, you got the Curry camp, you got the Elite 24 with Under Armour, which I know that they're also going to be revamping that into something bigger into the future. So yeah,
And they kicked into that market. I mean, they just kicked right on in. I mean, there was no door. They said, "We coming in."
look, even Allen Iverson in his Iverson Classic is a sanctioned like all-star game or whatever, and you have leeway up to that. So a lot of the top talent in the country, you know, you get to play in like 3 or 4 of these or whatever. Like they're choosing the Iverson Classic. They're choosing the stuff over the some of the more traditional stuff. For we used to have the Capital Classic here in the
Hmm.
DMV.
Hmm.
That's gotten phased out to different arenas, and then like I actually don't even know where it's at today. But that was a big deal to watch the Capital Classic, and it was the same type of depending on who sponsored it or whatever. So yeah, Adidas. I think that multiple levels, grassroots, you've lost traction in multiple ways. So and then look at your university relationships too. You better be thankful a team like Miami, girls and boys, made it far in the NCAA tournament because Florida Atlantic was about the best representation you had when it came to the sneaker game. You can slap your logo on Kansas all you want to, but who else you got that's out there? Louisville. But that's more of a you're gonna stick around because of Donovan Mitchell is alumni.
Hmm.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
these other schools, you don't even have the staying power with the collegiate sponsorships. So again, I'm just pointing out like every area that's just there's a needs improvement in every area. So but you're still always going to be in the top tier because of there's not you know you you've had the longevity to give you a little credit or whatever, and it just takes that much more from these other companies to leapfrog you, just because you still get to have a staple in your sporting goods, right? You know what I mean? You're still going to see because probably of the saturation of your Nikes. We talked
Hmm.
about that in
Hmm.
other spots. You're gonna see you'll probably see a wider range of Adidas stuff at a Dick's Sporting Goods or like your sporting goods store. You might see a wider range per sport. You know, as far as what you see from the three stripes on the shelf. So yeah, but like you know, some of my pulse is like their outlets have been dead for quite a while. You know what I mean?
Few
Like
years.
they don't get anything going to those outlets like they used to, and their discounts are just wacky. And then like even their hash wall is terrible. Like you used to just be able to shift through stuff. I don't even walk in the store half the time anymore, just because it's just like, what's the point? So yeah,
Still great for apparel, though. Still great for apparel, but
I'd beg to, I'd argue that, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the apparel. And like, if you're female, then, hover around those outlets because there's a bunch of Ivy Park stuff getting discounted crazy at these stores. Like, that's probably the best deal, is the Ivy Park stuff and the unisex pieces to the collections. But you got to find that one part of the season when it's a good drop, and then it's just gonna be dead after a while. Because there's actually more stuff for women and children in these Adidas stores, just based off the real estate, the men's apparel short corners, let alone maybe up to a third of the store maybe is dedicated to men. Everything else is not. So just think about that. But I think that Adidas. I just can't wait for more stuff to drop and y'all not buy it and then it go on sale so I can get it.
drop me and discount it.
Exactly. Meaning it's gonna sit around. So even some of the Kobe stuff, you would think that it would sell out fairly swiftly, but it's actually not because they pump more of it out. But they're not day one, weekend, first week sellouts still. So you can be patient and find what you like. So I haven't wear tested what's any of these resto mod colorways on the court. Just happy to have some Gilbert Arenases and some T Max and for the Lolo. So that's always a good deal because we practice our art of acquisition over at the podcast you cheer for.
So what I'm hearing, Shark, is that going back to our previous episode about Reebok question and answers, Adidas is on a higher tier than Reebok because the issues that you just explained with Adidas seem to be a little bit more higher tier and a little bit more in depth than Reebok. So is it fair to say that Adidas is higher than Reebok on the basketball scale? No question, but they still have their issue they need to address too before they can be seen as top dog and an athlete that's transcending with a hot design shoe will probably do that. But as you mentioned, the Kanye situation has really been a damper overall. And I didn't realize it was going to affect the basketball side the way that it has. But like you said, with fashion and Adidas basketball shoes not being that fashionable, yeah.
Well, see, that's the difference between.
I'm not wearing no Hardens to go out to, you know what I mean?
That's the difference between Adidas and Reebok is that Adidas continues to make performance footwear. We're just saying that there's not a multi-purpose. Yeah, you know what I mean? We're not rocking them off the court. They're not fashionable. Therefore, there's no cool factor. And no one to tell us that or influence to let everyone know that it is cool. But so they are team shoeing it up. That's what Reebok. They're not making new models. They're just doing retros or little one or two hybrids, and that's it. So they don't have no teams. They don't have no shoes for teams. Because you're not performing in the retro models and the Shaqs and the Iversons and the questions or more the answers, DMX ones that they're coming back with. You're not fully playing in those. But Adidas, yeah. So that's why they're staying alive because they get to keep the performance shoes, but they're not. Look at the college athletes. Go to an athlete that's on an Adidas school and go to their page and see what they're wearing when they're not at practice or in the game. I bet you it won't be Adidas.
This is a whole lot.
And you get all the free stuff if you want, and you still won't wear it. You know what I mean? trust me, I've been in these situations where you get the free stuff and you're just like, man, I'm not rocking this. I'm rocking my J's or whatever. But it's still given to you. You know what I mean? And I remember those times where they would like make you wear the issue stuff, depending on
Where you
where
were?
where you were, and who
Hmm.
you're playing, and this and this. Look, even I just mentioned my high school coach because we were sponsored by Nike at that time. He actually has a Adidas deal. But in the beginning, uh, um, we were in Nike school, and I remember either you had to wear Nike, like even down to your socks. If you couldn't wear another brand's socks, and if you did, you had to roll them over or whatever. And I remember Coach pulling us aside in the beginning and saying, "Look, we got a deal. So you have to wear full Nike equipment, or else we could infringe this deal and we won't get this stuff anymore." So, and why is it that serious? Because you don't know who's watching, you don't know when they're watching. So he would say, like, I don't care if it's practice or not. Anybody could just show up in the gym.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And the moment you got three, whatever on, then they're gonna question it, and they're gonna cut the faucet off. So those type of things you always like. Again, I'm talking about years ago and how it used to be, whatever. So,
Hmm.
but now, even if you're still getting, my point is, you're getting free stuff. You know what I mean? If they're not making you wear it, like you're sitting here not wearing that stuff whatsoever. You know what I mean? But like, think about it. Like, I think they should just get in the NIL deal and then get to some of these kids early. You know what I mean? Puma is giving out
I was about to say
NIL
that.
deals to the top talent boys and girls. So what are we doing? You got to get into. You can't wait. You got to get into it now. You know what I mean? But all I'm gonna say is you better come up with some new proprietary technology that's going to blow everybody out the water for the next generation. Because otherwise, you know, I don't think the lightweight stuff is the full sell. Especially for the athletes doing all the stuff that they do today. You know what I mean? So you can't have these young kids out here hurting themselves in your product. So you gotta make sure they're built for the future.
You
Or
look
just go straight performance and then give someone a signature, do a Westbrook deal and give somebody like Russell Westbrook, and then have a fashion signature shoe for a basketball player if you can't pull it off with the signature performance shoe. Or you might need both. You
and
might
have a
need
collaboration with artists to help you design that shoe in the culture.
I think they might be at the end of their rope on collaborations because they're not doing that part very well. Unless you want to partner with Bad Bunny, because he's the only one that's actually doing good in his collaborations. But again, I think it's him and his marketing and the way that he gets out anything,
Hmm.
like the Travis Scott effect, like that type of stuff. So you can't keep catching lightning in a bottle like that, right? I've talked about this in multiple ways
Definitely.
to say, is it the lightning in a bottle or is it you? If it's you, then you can just wash, rinse, and repeat. But clearly you can't do that, so it ain't you. So what you
I,
doing?
I
Three
don't
stripes?
remember. I don't remember the last Adidas basketball shoe I was motivated to buy at full price on release. I don't remember. Everything I've gotten the past 4 to 5 years, I've held out for it to go on sale, even if it was endorsed by a player. And I'm a huge basketball shoe junkie. Like I'm from DC, that's what we do. Like basketball shoes, New Balances. So I'm just intrigued because I like the way the new Hardens look, but I'm not paying. With I think the retail maybe 180 and maybe 200.
Yeah, no,
They tried them on. They feel good, but I'm not paying $20 for those.
nope. I think the last Adidas that I paid full price for was Boost You Wear John Wall.
Mm,
Always, because they didn't make them. They weren't even retail. Like they didn't make it to regular stores or whatever. But I paid the retail price for them. And had the, has Wallway and on one embroidered on one side, and the other side it says 5 deep. for the crew.
That's more your motivation of being not only.
But I only paid it because it's hometown squad.
There you go.
We love John Wall over here. So I just wanted to, and that's more of just the way that I collect the signatures and stuff like that. But because remember, he was a part of the time where the Reebok Adidas merger happened. So he was literally, him and Damian Lillard were
eating both ends.
were near the top, but he had the signature. John had the signature with Reebok, and then had to transition to a PE player with Adidas. And then, but as soon as that ended, remember he had all the knee problems. As soon as that ended, he chucked all that stuff and was just Nike. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's. And then he started playing better when he started wearing the Reeboks and Adidas. Had a little minor surgery on his knee, and then had some of the best explosiveness in his career before he had the last injury that kind of derailed everything. But those were the deals that got him the Supermax deals.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So 3 stripes. Nothing is impossible, like you said. So let's see what you got. But you're gonna have to come hard for the next season, and you can't just slap your logo on the next athlete. You're gonna have to actually do something, and you don't have to and you need staying power. All right, so it's not in your collaboration. It's not. The answer is not outside. The answer is within. So what are we gonna do? You had all that creativity with the feet you wear, and even down to the advertisements and the way that it was. So spark that up again, and just do it something that's relevant. And if you need some ideas, give us a call over here at the podcast you cheer for. We'll give you that sneaker business talk, and really help you get that pulse, and let us be your cultural consultants. All right, so that's a good way to wrap up. Any final thoughts from the OG on that 3-stripe basketball life?
Not at all. I've always been an Adidas fan because of my parents and relatives and so forth. I'm from an era to where all the brands were kind of even. So you weren't just wearing Nike in the 80s. You were wearing Tonics, you were wearing Fila's, you were wearing British Nikes, New Balance, Adidas. And I remember a lot of those models that I still beloved and still are retro now. But again, basketball, I'm just looking for them to get the right transcending athlete, the right design, the right commercial, the right campaign, and lift off again. And not saying that they're going to be in top competition or even surpass Nike, but Adidas historically has a lot going for them. And I'm just looking for not only a lightning in a bottle to strike, but for them, from a basketball standpoint, to be a force to be reckoned with again in the sneaker community and in the sneaker culture, not just functionality, or like I said, just with the performance. I want to see them win again in the fashion department. And they have everything in line. They just got to do it, and like I said, do it and do it right.
Yeah, and people got to want it. So it's people have options differently nowadays. All right, so maybe, but at the end of the day, you get somebody, and you actually put together a real campaign around them, and you might come through crushing buildings looking like Patrick Ewing, and those old poster ads and stuff like that. So there you go, another episode. More clarity over popularity. Here as we dove into the Adidas basketball, and past, present, and future. So from the podcast you cheer for, I'm T-Mart the Street Shark signing off.
And OGEO, peace to you.